That
Yes.
said, all participants can share. It's a selection and they've danced. So yeah, you're right.
Okay, great. It should be.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. It is so fabulous to have all of you with us today.
Hello.
My name is Chris Wass. I am a co-facilitator with Third Act Arizona, along with Betsy Wilkening. If any of you have maybe just become familiar with Third Act, want to learn more information, please go to thirdact.org. And you can find links to the Arizona Working Group. You'll certainly have the opportunity to sign up there. We, at this moment in time, I want to tell you just a brief little bit about Third Act and Third Act Arizona. Third Act is a national community of Americans over 60 interested in and committed to making change for the better in the world, particularly in the world of climate change and democracy. And with that, I want to introduce Bill McKibben, the founder of Third Act.
Who's running the video?
SunDay, this day, is our chance to celebrate the power of clean solar energy, to show how widespread that energy is, to demonstrate visibly that it's already coast to coast. This is the fastest energy transition in history, the move over the last 36 months to solar and wind power and the batteries that make them 24-hour sources of energy. It's been amazing to watch the price of these things come down and down and down. We now live on a planet where the cheapest way to make power is to point a sheet of glass at the sun. That is one of those remarkable milestones in human history. It means that we could bring combustion to an end quickly. And we must, because the climate crisis grows more dire all the time. The temperature just keeps rising, and with it, the tide of flood and fire and drought and just hardship and misery for people the world around. We can knock big chunks off how hot the planet eventually gets if we're able to very quickly move towards this clean energy technology. So let's do it. This is the kind of day, your participation is the kind of thing that makes the difference, that shows mayors and city councilors and governors what kind of energy future we want and what kind we don't want. Because we know that the fossil fuel industry is hard at work trying to undermine this transition. They're fighting much harder in the US than any place else because this is the center of the fossil fuel industry. And they think that we're so addicted to their product that we won't put up a fuss. But we are putting up a fuss. We want that world that others are getting to inhabit, the world of clean and cheap energy, the world of clean and cheap electric vehicles and e-bikes, a world where heat pumps make the furnace in the basement and the tank of oil or natural gas obsolete. That's the world that we want and what we can have if we push. Now, obviously, in Washington, we're not going to get anything for the next 12 months. But at the state and local level, we can make enormous progress. It costs 3 times as much for Americans to put solar panels on their roof as Australians or Europeans. And it's not because the panel costs more, it's because we have this Baroque system of permitting where each of the 15,000 municipalities has its own code and its own team of inspectors. There are ways around this, powerful tools like the Solar App Plus from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory that allow us to do instantaneous permitting. California, New Jersey, and Maryland have already adopted it. That leaves 47 states to go. The thing that makes me hopeful here is not just the technology, it's that Americans of all kinds want clean energy. I've lived my life in rural America, some of it red state, some of it blue. And so I know that people end up backing solar power for all kinds of reasons. Some of my most conservative neighbors and friends have solar panels on the roof because they are completely committed to the idea that their home is their castle, and it's much more so when it has its own independent power supply. But it's not just political differences. We have congregations, we have businesses large and small. We have renters who want to take advantage of the kind of balcony solar that 3.5 million Europeans have put up in the last year, and it's now legal in the state of Utah. We can spread that around the whole country. I can't tell you how pleased I am to see how many people are out today across America. It's really something. When we first started talking about SunDay a year ago, we had no idea what would happen. And now we know that there is a groundswell of people asking, demanding that we take the steps to bring us into a clean energy future now. SunDay is just the beginning of this effort. The work to build and to scale up, that's going to ramp up in the months ahead. So plug in, literally, figuratively. We look forward to working with all of you. Energy from heaven, not from hell. The time is upon us to make this great change. Thank you for being a part of it.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Liz Pedersen. I'm the Associate Director of the Arizona Institute for Resilience, or AIR, at the University of Arizona. In partnership with the 14 programs and centers housed in AIR, each with expertise in specific areas of resilience research, our mission is to develop and apply diverse knowledges in creating solutions to environmental change through interdisciplinary research, community partnerships, and experiential learning. We are very proud of the partnership we have today with Third Act in co-hosting this SunDay event. And I'd like to particularly thank Betsy Wilkening and Diana Liverman from the Third Act team for all of their work, support, and dedication in bringing this event together for all of us. I'd also like to thank AIR's director, Dr. Sharon Collins, Olivia Miltner, who's the program coordinator for AIR's Arizona Environment Program, and AIR's communication lead, Shelley Litton, for their assistance in planning our event. Also, just to note that while the University of Arizona and the Arizona Institute for Resilience welcomes all perspectives in our academic community and beyond, the views and opinions expressed by Third Act and our SunDay speakers and attendees today may not reflect those of our institute or the university. We're looking forward to a fun and educational afternoon for everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Special thanks to our presenters who are up and coming. And now I'd like to turn it over to our moderator, Diana Liverman. She's a retired professor in geography and a member of Third Act. Thank you, Diana.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Chris. And thanks to Bill for his video. Welcome, everybody. Happy solstice. Happy SunDay. And I have the privilege to introduce some really fabulous speakers from both the community and the university. And we're going to go through it fairly fast, lots of content. And speakers, excuse me if I interrupt you when you go over time. I'll try to do it as nicely as I can. We have great speakers. So our first speaker, and there may be a little bit of, logistical stuff getting people's slides up if they have them. So our first speaker is Adrian Keller. And he's the Arizona Program Director for Solar United Neighbors. And he leads efforts to expand rooftop solar in the state through solar co-ops, community education, and policy campaigns. And his title is Solar in Your Community, How Solar United Neighbors Can Help You Go Solar. Over to you, Adrian.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Sunday. Really excited to be here and tell you a little bit more about Solar United Neighbors, which we call SUN for short. So we got a lot of SUN content for you today. Um, Solar United Neighbors, if you're unfamiliar, we are a vendor-neutral national 501c3 nonprofit. So we're not a solar installer, we're not a sales company. We're here to help people go solar, make it as easy as affordable as possible, and to advocate for better solar policies across the country. So in short, we help people go solar, join together, and fight for their energy rights. And there's a few different ways we go about that. The bread and butter of our work, especially here in Arizona, is organizing what we call solar co-ops, which are essentially bulk purchasing campaigns that allow people to get a discount on solar installations. But we also help individuals one-on-one, including small businesses, houses of worship, nonprofits, really anybody across the US and Arizona who needs help going solar or has questions. We'll be able to support them with that. If you're somebody who's already gone solar and you're running into problems or issues or just have some questions about your system, we also provide support in all 50 states to people with existing systems who are running into trouble. That join together piece is really about bringing people together in the community. We host our solar co-ops. We also do solar 101s and free education sessions. We have solar tours, happy hours, lobbying days, really an abundance of resources that we provide to help solar owners and enthusiasts effectively advocate for their rights. And when I say energy rights or solar rights, really what that boils down to is making sure that anybody in Arizona who wants to has the ability to go solar and save on their energy bills as a result from that. We're fighting at the Corporation Commission to make sure that solar owners are compensated fairly for excess solar production. We make sure that HOAs aren't restricting people from installing solar. And we also advocate for other policies like community solar so that one-day renters in Arizona can benefit from shared community solar gardens. So we spend a lot of time at the Corporation Commission here in Arizona, but we do state and federal advocacy work as well. Since 2019, we've helped nearly 600 people in the state install solar with bulk purchase discounts. That's a little over 4 megawatts of installed clean energy capacity on the grid today. And the figure I love the most is that $22 million. That's what our members are saving over the lifespan of those systems, money that otherwise would have gone to their utility company. And of course, we're contributing to Arizona's solar economy and helping to offset a significant amount of CO2. So SUN got started back in 2007. Our founder, Anya, her son, Walter, was at school one day and he was shown an Inconvenient Truth, which is a very famous documentary about climate change. This movie really impacted Walter and he went home and said, "Mom, we got to go solar to do our part to help the environment." Anya said, "Sure, let's look into it," but quickly found that going solar wasn't just such an easy process to do, especially back in 2007. They were getting conflicting information from different companies. There were tax credits and leases and PPAs and all this complicated jargon to work through. And as they were sort of trying to untangle this, they thought, you know, some of our neighbors are probably going to be interested in going solar too. And so Walter and his friend Diego literally went door to door in their neighborhood and enlisted the help of about 50 neighbors who were all interested in going solar. And they were able to sort of unwind and untangle this process together. In the end, they were even able to approach some solar companies who gave them a discount since all of them decided to go solar with that one company. And that's sort of how our solar co-ops were born. And we've been doing that work throughout the US ever since. So how does it all work? We've got a Tucson solar co-op coming up, or excuse me, that is live right now. And so this is sort of the 4 to 8 month process of how a solar co-op works in Arizona. So first, we always launch a co-op locally with some community partners. I've seen a few on the screen today, so excited that y'all are here. And one of the first things we do when we open up a solar co-op is educate. So we have several solar 101 sessions, virtually and in person, to help explain how solar works, how do you pay for it, how is it attached to your home, and give people a chance to ask as many questions as they'd like. And then members who are interested can sign up for a co-op online. It's free to do and not a commitment to going solar. And so if you're just interested in getting the educational information and getting a quote, but maybe it's not quite the right year to actually make the plunge, that's totally fine. But for people who do join the co-op, we really hope that they'll spread their words. This is really a grassroots kind of program. And in addition to our local partners, and if we're lucky, some earned media, the most common way that people hear about our co-ops is from a friend or a neighbor or family member who's gone solar. Now the installation process or installation selection is sort of next. Now, we at Sun, since we're a nonprofit, we don't select the installer. We think it's important for our members who are going to have skin in the game and own these systems to have a say in who they work with. So we request bids from local solar installation companies, and we check their references and reviews and do a fairly thorough vetting process and present those bids to the group. Then volunteers from the co-op will form a selection committee, meet one evening, and with Sun's guidance, end up selecting one installer on behalf of the group. Now, there will be a sign-up deadline, so only people who have joined the co-op before January will have access to the negotiated rate that we were able to achieve with the installer. But once an installer is selected, they're going to start reaching out to every member of the co-op. They'll ask for your utility bills and get an idea of what you're looking for and design a custom rooftop solar proposal for your home with the negotiated lower pricing. And now, again, at this point, really hope folks will feel comfortable to go ahead and sign a contract, but there's no pressure. We're not going to be calling and hassling people. People have a long time to decide. And again, we encourage people to ask as many questions and shop around so they feel really confident about their decision to go solar. The installation itself is fairly quick. It only takes about a day, maybe less. But as the video pointed out, sometimes that permitting process can really take a while. And so it do expect a couple months for the entire installation process. And then once most of the systems have been installed, we'll come back and have another event in Tucson and be able to celebrate the successes we were able to have as a group. So some of the benefits of our co-ops, one, I think, is you get a really great value on your solar installation. Like I said, we're able to achieve some bulk discounts, which helps you save money, but you're also receiving an abundance of support from Sun, who's a vendor-neutral nonprofit. So before, during, or after the process, if you have any questions or any issues with your solar installation, we're there to help you out and back you up. We'll also connect you to fellow solar enthusiasts and solar owners in your community. It's a lot more fun to do this together as opposed to on your own. And then if you're interested, we'll certainly love to enlist you to help us with some of our policy and advocacy campaigns to make it easier for some of your neighbors to benefit from solar as well. So like I mentioned, we have a Tucson Solar Co-op open right now. It's available to anybody in Pima County, and you'll be able to sign up through the end of this calendar year. You can go to solarunitedneighbors.org/Tucson to learn more and see some of our upcoming events that we'll be having in the community. And after I finish presenting, I'll drop that link in the chat. If anything I talked about is of interest to you today, we'd love to talk to you more about getting more involved with Sun. We rely heavily on our volunteers, and that can be both for supporting our solar co-ops and bulk purchase campaigns, but also working on advocacy. We constantly help at the Corporation Commission and legislature. And so if you're interested in any of those things, or if you already have solar and you just want to share your story, that's one of the most impactful things you can do right now. We need positive stories of people who have gone solar to spread the word that this still works and it still benefits folks in Tucson and beyond. That is everything I had for y'all today. You can reach me at that email address listed there. I'll also drop that in the screen. But otherwise, thank you so much for your time and look forward to hearing from the rest of the speakers.
Thank you so much, Adrian. And it's great to hear from people working out in the community in the state. And that is our next speaker. Sandy Barr is the director of Sierra Club's Grand Canyon chapter. And she's been advocating for clean renewable energy, energy efficiency, and climate action for more than 30 years. Over to you, Sandy.
Great, thank you so much. And I will say I have solar on my house because of the Sun program. So use the one in Phoenix, and so can be say it really helped a lot. So anyway, I have way too many slides, so some of these I'll fly through, and but I'm happy to share them. And then Diana, if you could give me a heads up when I'm about a minute out, because there's something I want to make sure I get it just in case I go long. So
okay.
Thank you. So anyway, I am going to try to demystify the Arizona Corporation Commission a little bit for people. We go year after year, and it seems like still a lot of people don't know what it is, what it does, and why we should really care about it. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about my background because you already heard a little bit. Just quickly, there are a number of entities in Arizona that have a role in energy policy to varying degrees, but certainly the Corporation Commission has a huge role. And the commission has 5 elected commissioners. There will be 2 seats up next year. It's constitutionally established, and they basically have jurisdiction over the quality of utility service and the rates that they charge. They regulate about 14 electric utilities, Arizona Public Service, Tucson Electric Power. They do not regulate Salt River Project. I'm not going to get into that today, but I'm happy to explain offline to you. They approve a lot of, well, they mostly approve right now, but they can also deny utility actions. They acknowledge resource plans, and they establish rules that further govern the utilities. Again, this is where in the Constitution you can find the commission, and they do have specifically exclusive rate-making power in the Constitution. So if any other entity tries to infringe on the rate-making authority of the commission, there's a good chance that that action will be unconstitutional. Responsible for regulating utilities, but they do a bunch of other things as well. And I'm not going to talk about those other things today, but it is a very important body. They're associated with the commission is the Arizona Power Plant and Transmission Line Siting Committee. This is an entity established in statute. They look at certificates of environmental compatibility for thermal generation and transmission, and of a particular size, and does have an important role in siting of specific projects. They take public comments, so it's a place to be involved, and the Arizona Corporation Commission does as well. The legislature's role, they can do a lot of things. They're just not supposed to infringe on that rate-making authority, and they have huge authority to regulate Salt River Project. The ACC is a state agency, so it's subject to open meeting law, public records requests. So a lot of the things that you know, help us to have transparency in government. And they also are generally subject to the same rulemaking procedures as most agencies. It's a public agency in addition to being a state agency, and that means they work for you. You have a right to attend their meetings, to share your opinion, your concerns, and you absolutely do not have to be an expert to speak. I feel like that's the #1 thing that holds people back, is they're like, well, I'm not an expert on energy policy. Now, just have to care and be willing to learn a bit about what's going on, but you do not have to be an expert. I'm not going to spend too much time on the commissioner's background. I could talk for a long time about that. But the chair at this time is Kevin Thompson. He has a background in utilities, worked for Southwest Gas, and has voted for repeal of the renewable energy and energy efficiency standards, and supported the last 2 rate cases for, or the last rate case for APS and for TEP. Vice Chair Nick Myers, this is the first time I know of that there's been a vice chair for the commission, and similar to the chair, has supported repealing important renewable energy and efficiency standards, and he also voted for the APS and TEP rate increases. Commissioner Marquez Peterson is from Tucson. I think there are a lot of Tucson folks on here. And she too supported for those rate increases. There were some clean energy rules at the commission previously. She supported them, and then she opposed them. and her flip-flopping killed those rules, unfortunately. And she too has voted to repeal the renewable energy standards. And these last two are the newest commissioners, Rachel Walden, and she has not been friendly to renewable energy and very friendly to fossil fuels. Likewise with Renee Lopez, who also is a nuclear engineer and a big proponent of nuclear power. There's also staff. There are actually 9 divisions at the commission. The 3 that we work a lot with are utilities, legal, and the hearings divisions. And I think I'll just move on from that. It's explanatory. So if you're like wondering, how do I know what they're doing? I mean, you can go to their website and find out, but you can also sign up to get notices. It's pretty easy. Just go to their main page and go to the very bottom, and you can subscribe and get notices on a number of things. You'll get notices of open meetings, staff meetings, where they're going to be together, and any special open meetings or workshops. And this just is a little bit about when you get an agenda, kind of what info is in it. So I'm just going to move through that. For most items that are posted, you will see a docket number as well as the company. They don't always tell you a lot about what it is, so you almost have to go into the file to see what it is regarding. And a docket at the Corporation Commission, just think of it like a big folder that holds all of this information about what they're up to on a particular issue.
2 minutes, Sandy.
Okay. And there are codes that help you know what the issue is, what the company is, and I'm going to skip through that. You can find a lot on eDocket. That's where you can search for things. And this, I really wanted to get to what you can do. You can just listen in on commission meetings if you want to know what they're doing. This just kind of shows you some different activities that people take. You can request to speak at a commission meeting. The key thing to do now is submit your request to speak before the meeting starts, because they may not let you speak if you don't do that. And of course you can speak, and you can speak for a short period of time. They usually don't give more than 3 minutes, and you can do it in person. You can do it via the phone or WebEx. You can also submit comments online, and that's pretty easy as well. It's just good to know the company. And I'm going to skip that. The commission also takes complaints. That's a separate process, a separate form. And then you can meet with individual commissioners. I encourage you to try to make an appointment. They haven't been as open to meeting with just the general public. And of course, you want to, not be angry or hostile when meeting with any elected officials. So join us, speak up. I wanted to mention there's some great opportunities coming up. They're trying to repeal the renewable energy standard. There'll be public comment opportunities in November. The energy efficiency standard repeal, that is going to be up in December. I don't have the dates yet. APS rate case, there's several public comment opportunities, as well as the Tucson Electric Power rate case as well. And I can share these with you. So why should you care about the ACC? Well, they decide if you're going to pay more for dirtier energy or less for clean energy, such as solar. And you should care because this commission is anti-consumer, anti-clean energy, pro-utility, pro-fossil fuels, which means more pollution, more harm to our climate, and higher rates. And both APS and TEP are proposing 14% rate increases. That is a big rate increase. So together we can make a difference at the commission, even with as challenging as it is. I hope you'll join us in using your voice there and continue to learn more about it. And I don't have time for questions, so I'm just going to say thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. So our next speaker, we're now moving to a few people from the university who are going to talk about their work and their research. And the next speaker is Professor Greg Barron-Gafford. He's a colleague of mine in the School of Geography, Development and Environment, and he's an international expert on agrivoltaics. And he's going to talk to us about his decade-long effort to harvest the sun twice. Greg, over to you.
Thanks, everybody. It's great to be here on a semi-sunny Sunday in Tucson. Yes, we're talking about this idea of agrivoltaics, which we'll talk about in a minute, but we know we have so much abundant sunlight in Arizona and across the Southwest, we can actually share it among multiple uses. And we're seeing this process of growing food in and around solar panels as a tool for solving challenges associated both with a need for food and energy resilience. There we go. And I think many of you living in the region know that we're facing some really serious challenges around food, energy, and the water sectors. This is not just something we experience here in Arizona, which we all know to be an arid zone, but in places we think about as being relatively okay in terms of water resources, like in France, where, you know, what used to be an occasional drought has turned into a brutal and life-changing type of drought for farmers. Across Arizona, we're seeing empty canals, dead cotton fields, transitions that are necessary for a lot of our aging farming population in this region. And for our SunDay about solar, why am I talking about crops and farmers? Well, because as our farmers are running out of water resources, we're seeing a full-scale transition. And so it's happening across California, happening across Arizona. You can even go in on Google Earth where it has the little slide bar so you can look at the past versus now. And you can see areas that used to be green turning brown and then black as solar is coming in. And we know renewable energy is extremely important. That's why we're here today. But how it's actually operationalized on the ground is something that we found can and must do better in terms of our installations. I think part of the challenge is we're thinking about these as like we had a water challenge and a food challenge, and that's kind of over. So we're just going to switch to fixing a renewable energy problem. But when you look at this landscape of how solar is installed, seems like we could do a little bit better. And so we're trying to move beyond the siloed approach. So if we know we have these simultaneous food and energy and water problems, and we're here to talk about solar, like why is this guy talking about doing solar better? What are we going to do? Well, this is what it looks like overhead at a typical solar installation near Casa Grande. And this is what it looks like overhead at a typical solar installation that used to look like that we've now converted to this agrivoltaics, agriculture happening within and around and underneath solar. This site is up in Colorado because we started 5 years ago because it was a more friendly political environment to approach transitions in land use. But now we're making these same kinds of strides to alter how we're installing and even altering installed solar here in Arizona. So again, agrivoltaics is this literal mashup of agriculture and photovoltaics, or the fancy word for solar panels, on that same parcel of land. You can see we're doing lots of different types of crops, everything from leafy greens on the right to onions and garlic, which is grown extensively across southern Arizona, and flowering shrubs. And why are we doing so many different types of plants? Because once we showed it was possible, everyone was asking us, so what's the best crop? What do I need to do this? Well, that's part of what we've been trying to tackle is understand like who is the right crop and why. And a lot of times when we first mention this, once we've gotten past the why, is don't plants need sunlight? On SunDay, don't we need to be talking about plants needing them? Well, plants can actually not only tolerate shade, they actually seem to be able to appreciate having some level of shade. So this is a graph because I am a professor. I got to show you a couple pictures of graphs here. We're looking at photosynthesis, kind of like our measure of how well is the plant doing. Kind of like if you go to the doctor and they check your pulse or your blood pressure. One way we check to see how well plants are doing is to check their photosynthetic rates against different light levels. And you can see your biology teacher didn't lie to you. Plants need sunlight, but they quickly plateau off. And the challenge is, you probably don't know most of these units, but this is where we are in the full sun out here in Arizona. You can see we're way beyond that plateau point. And in a lot of times where we're sharing the sun in these agrivoltaic conditions, yeah, we cut out maybe even 2/3 of the sunlight, but you can see how that doesn't cut out 2/3 of the photosynthesis. In fact, think about what it feels like to be in the shade. In the full sun, you're out here in terms of a photosynthesis response to temperature versus in the agrivoltaics. So we're getting these different benefits of being a little bit cooler. Think about how much slower things evaporate when they're in the shade versus the sun. And you can start to see how things might work out for plants. And we do a lot of glorified science fair projects at the university where we simply put plants in a full sun condition and in an agrivoltaics condition and see how they do. And so we're measuring different crops all the time based on farmer feedback, different consumer feedback. For another set of graphs, I'll show you last year where we grew kale, variety of beans, squash, and chard. And so all these graphs green because that's how plants stay in the agrivoltaics versus turning brown in the full sun, especially when we have such hot and dry monsoon seasons. We're looking at yield of plants in a full sun situation versus an agrivoltaic situation. And you can see for some of these, we're producing like 3,000 times more, or even 200 to 300 more percent. And you don't have to be a math major to think about this in terms of percentages. Just think about the orders of magnitude more food being produced and staying in our rural populations when we transition to solar in a slightly more meaningful way. And so we're actually trying to change that either or narrative from food production or renewable energy to saying we can actually have sustained food production in our region because of this renewable energy transition, because of the shade brought by solar, because of the slower rates of evaporation that we experience. And so at this point, we've measured lots of different crops. It's largely beneficial for the plants that we're growing. We're doing this work all over the globe. As the recording mentioned, photovoltaics is not just happening in the US, it's growing even more widely and more quickly abroad. And this idea of agrivoltaics is something we're taking to drylands all over the planet with different communities of different sizes. Kenyan farmers who are now using this solar-based pumping to produce crops that they were no longer able to otherwise do. And so with that, I'll say I'll just say Diana's doing peace instead of 2 minutes and say you can check out more at thesolarfarm.org because we really are trying to say there are solar facilities and then there are solar farms. So with that, I'll say thank you.
Thank you, Greg. So one of the things about Greg's projects is he involves a lot of students in what he's doing, not just U of A students, but also students in K-12 through the School Garden Project. And our next speaker is actually going to represent another group of students at University of Arizona who've been working around solar solutions. The next student design competition team members were recognized with an honorable mention by the Department of Energy for the design of a net zero clinic in Tucson that creatively integrates sustainable design solutions. And we have a competition called the Solar Decathlon. We've got a competition called Building Next. And representing these student initiatives, we have Maritza Noriego. Maritza, over to you.
So, hello everyone. My name is Marita Noriega, and today me and my colleague Joy Cho will be presenting the Apuncha Wellness Center, which is, as mentioned before, a net zero clinic in Tucson, Arizona that intends to creatively design around solar gain and solar solutions. Our team consisted of 6 architecture students from the U of A, and today there will be 2 of us representing this team. We worked not only within the people at CAPLA, but also with the Andrew Wall Center here on campus that focuses on integrative medicine, and the Wasaja Carlos Montezuma Center that focuses on holistic healing for Indigenous families within Tucson. Sorry, it seems my teammate.
Hi. Okay, yeah, there you go. So our project is located in Tucson, Arizona, classified under asteroid climate zone 2B, with over 100 days of above 100 degrees, and is super dry over here. So with the growing senior population, the demand for healthcare and support continues to rise. Also, with Native American people made up of total 3% of Tucson population, highlighting the importance for the needs of culturally inclusive care and modern health practice. So the project is located on the 2 major roadways, Speedway Boulevard and Campbell Avenue, and it's made of 3 distinctive zones and to the desert resilience zone. And our project is one of the zone called Apuncha Wellness Clinic. And there are 3 major design goals that we're focusing on is promoting health, connection to nature, and cultivate community. So our retrofit design prioritize natural light, thermal comfort, and connections to natures. So we extend the corner space to optimize the access to nature lights, also with the new cross layers of remodel with photovoltaics on the top to optimize the overall energy performance. And here you can see the before and after photos that highlights the transformation at the north entrance. And this renders that features a welcoming space that connected both our clinic. Our first retrofit building is an active rehabilitation building that supports holistic care through physical therapy and multi-purpose room, which could be adaptable for various culture and needs. The shared waiting rooms features biophilic elements and acoustic comforts to enhance the overall patient experience.
Our second building is the primary care building. This one has a much more usual approach to medicine through exam rooms and procedure rooms. As you can see, they also incorporated natural lighting in order to increase patient comfort. But since we wanted to reduce solar gain, we made them clear story windows, which are much higher, thus reducing the angle at which they receive direct sunlight. We also have a nutrition building, which focuses on the teaching of better eating habits to the community. And much like the other buildings, this also fosters community and creates spaces that are both allow for natural sunlight without allowing it to overtake the space.
So working with our neighbor on site, they request a medicinal garden. So we design the garden for them that will honor their cultural visions, also shows that the plants that is native to Tucson. This space is showing on screen is meant for using for gatherings and gathering for students. We also design a circular ceremony space that can be held for indigenous ceremonies of the Tohono O'odham and the Yaqui and all the other additional tribes. Our design extend the shared values of body, mind, spirits that's shared by both our clients, and we upgraded from the traditional HVAC system to the radiant system, along with corroboration of the solar panels to create to foster well-being, comfort, and relaxation within the space.
Couple more
As was-
minutes.
Huh?
Just 2 more minutes,
Yeah,
Maritza.
thank you. Overall, we used a water strategy that just made sure we collected the water from Tucson. And we also made sure to use materials from the US in order to reduce life cycle pollution. Overall, by retrofitting rather than making a new building, we reduced emissions by 985%. And while this was a theoretical project, we did incorporate a lot of real life situations in which we rebuilt essentially the skin of the building in order to reduce solar gain and create a better insulation within the walls. Through these renovations, we were able to not only reduce the sound, but also the amount of energy that would be necessary long term for the maintenance of this building. And as you can see here, the way that this building works, the purple would show where the sun would no longer be as strong, which would allow for it to be a lot more comfortable and thus require less energy.
So our center is part of the Desert Resilient District, where solar energy from each sector feeds into the shared battery system. We have built our own microgrids with solar panels, battery backup, and electrical vehicles charge. So if cloudy days cause storage to run low, we use supplemental power for local energy provider. Our clinics use multiple aware weanings mechanical system to optimize the overall energy performance.
As we mentioned before, we used a lot of solar panels in this building, but through the reduction of the solar gain and need for energy, we were not only able to meet but surpass our energy need through almost 20,000 kilowatt hours per year. Not only meeting net zero, sorry, that was the last slide.
Yeah.
Not only meeting net zero, but surpassing it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, and congratulations on the recognition of your work, Maritza and Joy, and congrats to the rest of your team. The next speaker is also from the University of Arizona, Professor Joellen Russell is a professor of geosciences and affiliated with a number of other departments. She's a climate scientist who uses robot floats, supercomputers, and satellites to develop better climate and weather prediction. But she also believes in taking the message out there, and she co-founded a group called Science Moms to bring science to the general public. So, Joellen.
Thank you, Diana, and thank you to the young ones before me. That was really amazing. Thank you. So glad to be here, everybody, on SunDay. Woohoo! And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about some science we're doing about on our pale blue dot, this tiny little spaceship Earth. You know, I'm always fascinated by the fact that most people don't realize that their planet is 72% water, and that a lot of what's going to happen here is going to depend on what happens in our ocean. But I'm going to talk about first, basically, we're doing forecasting now that's improved and lengthened because we have ocean information. That ocean information, because of all the warming, is actually more and more powerful every year as it gets warmer. And it has a profound impact on our weather. I mean, what little monsoon we got was because of tropical storm remnants from the Pacific coming up the Sea of Cortez, the Gulf of California. So we've seen this incredible convergence in the way we get our news out to regular folks about their weather through the Weather Service and the alerts, etc., as well as better information on programs like this about how we are going to have to adapt. And I just want to point something out that is kind of an awful thing, but it won't matter to the young ones. But most baby boomers have not been in school since 1975, which may be why they're having more difficulty with some of the amazing changes that have been happening on our planet. I mean, think about that for a second. That's a long time ago. But we are one of the IPCC's, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's climate centers of record, because we ran all of the simulations required here at the University of Arizona. That's our little logo right there. We're the only university to ever have done it. All the rest of them are national modeling centers. And the reason we're doing this and why the ocean's playing such a big role and why we're so incredibly encouraged by the changes going on in solar is because of this. This is Dave Keeling's curve from both the South Pole and from Mauna Loa of the atmospheric CO2. And we were increasing by about 1 part per million per year in the atmosphere in the 1990s. And in the 2000s, it was about 2 parts per million per year. And in the teens, it was 3. And in the 2020s, I know I shouldn't laugh or smile, but it is 4 plus accumulating in the atmosphere. And that's creating this incredible energy imbalance. That energy imbalance means basically we're loading the sleeping bag of our atmosphere with more down, and it's keeping us warmer. So IRBI, Earth's Radiation Budget Experiment satellites, look out of the sun and into the Earth and say about the same sun's coming in every year and less is getting out. We are warming. That warming, this is the radiative forcing. Most of it is coming from the increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. There are other gases that matter, but it's mostly carbon dioxide that is creating this incredible greenhouse effect. And this is what it looks like in our atmosphere. And you can see 2024 popping up there as a record all-time hottest, even though it was a La Nina year. And if you look here, our top 10 hottest global years on record, okay, top 11 global years on record. It's bad out there. And in Arizona, we are the 3rd fastest warming state in the nation. Yes, that's us. We're also the 3rd fastest warming city, and Phoenix up the road is the 4th. It's getting hot in here. So what does it look like in Arizona? It means in Tucson, since 1970, we have about 20 more days, about 3 weeks of more days above 105 degrees than if we were here in 1970. Yep. A longer, hotter summer. I don't know about you guys, but my air conditioning bill looked ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So and I was trying to be good and sweating it out, but it's still awful. Okay, so solar. So here is how much drier we are normal now relative to normal 10 years ago. Drier, hotter. So we've got more heat waves, we've got more drought, we've also got more flood, and we could really use some of those high-tech prediction jobs. Wouldn't that be great? So I work in the ocean. I'm an oceanographer. I know everybody says, what are you doing in the desert? Because I use robot floats, supercomputers, and satellites. And by the way, we can do that really well from the desert. So this is what it looks like so far, the warming in the lower atmosphere, in the upper ocean, the deeper ocean as you go through time. And if you look up here, that's the stratosphere, the absolutely unequivocal signal that this is a greenhouse gas problem, i.e. we're trapping the heat lower and the rest of the upper atmosphere is getting colder. That's what you definitely see here. So we're doing carbon accounting these days in the ocean, the atmosphere, and our ecosystems. That is one of the reasons we want to push everybody to solar. The other one is obvious health impacts, et cetera. But actually, since 2007, when the Supreme Court ruled that in Massachusetts versus the EPA, the Clean Air Act sweeping definition of air pollutant includes any air pollution agent or combination of such agents, including any physical, chemical, substance, or matter which is emitted into or otherwise enters the ambient air. Carbon dioxide, they ruled, is without a doubt physical and chemical substances which are emitted into the ambient air. The statute is unambiguous. And they cited one brief, which was the scientist brief, which several of my colleagues here at the University of Arizona, Scott Zaleska, Kirsten Engel, were part of. And the US, since 2007, has actually decreased their emissions by almost 24% now this year, which actually is one of the fastest drops. It's quicker than even in the European Union. And everybody wonders how that's happening. You can actually see this is from the Department of Energy. There's actually this increase of 250% in solar, an increase in wind power, and down by 37% in coal. This is just the facts. This is just what we've already done here in the United States. And if you look at new U.S. electric generating capacity, the additions to it from 2000 to 2025, if you look back here in 2025, the solar addition, the battery storage, the wind are dominating our new capacity. This is great. This really is going to make a difference. But I'm in the carbon accounting business as a scientist, trying to figure out where all of that carbon dioxide we're emitting, which is over here on the left side of the equation. So half of it's staying in the atmosphere, a quarter is going in the ocean, about a quarter is going into terrestrial plants. If we could measure those ocean, if we could measure the carbon in the ocean as well as we measured it in the atmosphere, we would actually be able to infer for most of the major land areas of the Earth, including the major big countries, what their emissions are in real time. Unfortunately, ships are expensive and it's really, really hard work at sea. So we've had to get really creative. And we now deploy these robot floats. That's one of my former students who's now a professor at the University at Temple. So we've deployed a whole lot of these carbon censored robot floats, not just in the Southern Ocean, although we started there. Now it's a worldwide array. I know, $80 million later. Pretty cool. That's us back in 2012. I'm in the pink scarf in the middle. So we've done all this amazing stuff, but here I want to show you where we're getting with this climate and carbon prediction. We're actually, I'm going to skip. How do we spread the word? The science moms part. You know, as wonky nerds, we do all these papers, right? We publish, we teach, you know, we do the tank experiment in front of everybody else. But back during pandemic, Catherine Hayhoe sent me an email and said, hey, I'd really like to do more. And she's an amazing climate communicator. I'm like, more, you say? What could we do? So we founded Science Moms. It's a nonpartisan group of mothers basically funded by folks like Mackenzie Scott Bezos, who just flat said, here, go forth, use your day jobs to inform all your friends and all the people like all the rest of us who live here about climate, and try and activate both moms and dads and cousins and aunties and uncles, basically get the word out to a broader community. We want to reframe the problem, explain what's at stake, build our confidence to talk about it to our friends and across the back fence or at our kitchen tables.
What's the plan to solve climate change?
So you can check us out at sciencemoms.com.
To my smoochy babies, Maeve and Joseph, I loved you before you were born. Even as I chose my career as a climate scientist, the joy and wonder that growing up on the Chukchi Sea gave me, I am determined to give you. Even as the Tucson summers get longer, the saguaros wilt in the heat, as we get up earlier and earlier to hike, and we depend more on our AC, I chose this life to help build a better world for you. I hope when you're grown that you'll forgive me for being the tired mama, the obsessed with the new data mama, because the climate is changing so fast and will affect your world so much that I've had to become your gladiator science mama so I can fight every day for you.
So check us out at sciencemoms.com, and we can do it. We're on the way. Yay, go solar.
Thank you, Joe Allen. So now we're moving back to the communities. And our next speaker is also on the younger side of the spectrum. Owen Brossander is with Arizona Youth Climate Coalition. And that's a collaborative youth-led organization fighting for climate justice across the Grand Canyon State. And Owen co-led the effort to get the Tucson Unified School District to adopt a climate action resolution. So Owen, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for showing up today. Like Diana already said, my name is Owen. And then I have some other on here with us tonight. So we also have Gabe and Carmen. And we're all part of Arizona Youth Climate Coalition, all here based in Tucson. But we have chapters all around the state. So Carmen and Gabe, you guys can introduce our organization.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carmen DeBacker. I'm a member of Arizona Youth Climate Coalition. Like we said before, it's collaborative, entirely youth-led, from middle-aged to college-age students across all of Arizona. We're founded during the 2019 Youth Climate Movement, and we're made up of chapters across all of the Arizona cities. We're split into policy, outreach, finance, and we also have city-specific teams, so specifically Tucson and Phoenix. We have around 80 members and specifically 30 in Tucson.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gabe. I'm also a member of the Arizona Youth Climate Coalition, and since its founding in 2019, we've been hard at work on numerous projects. For example, in 2020, AZYCC lobbied the mayor and city council to declare a climate emergency. 2 years later, in 2022, AZYCC lobbied to pass an EV readiness roadmap. In 2023, the organization recognized the city of Tucson as an official partner, and the city adopted a climate action plan. That same year, AZYCC led a climate strike and also hosted a climate summit that ended up convening over 200 people. And today we're engaged with the governor's office, Pima County, and TUSD to develop climate action plans as well as resolutions.
And now I'm here to kind of talk about our kind of crown jewel, something that passed this past year that we worked 16 months on to develop. And this was co-led by me, and then my other co-lead is Ojis Songhi. You guys might have met him before, but he goes to University of Arizona and is currently speaking at the SunDay event in Phoenix, I hear. So the resolution that we helped TUSD to develop and pass commits the whole district to net zero emissions across all 3 scopes by 2040. And that's kind of what makes it unique. So I'm just going to skip ahead here. But kind of the way that this resolution is structured is it has 3 different scopes of emissions, which is often talked about in climate action resolutions. So there's scope 1, which is direct emissions from TUSD. So that's like our buses, any generators that we have on site, things like that. And then we have those scope 3 emissions that are all the food that TUSD takes in. Those are scope 3 emissions. And anything that TUSD buys, that's also considered in scope 3. And there's also scope 2, so that's from TEP. And what made this resolution so unique is that it encompassed all of those scopes rather than most resolutions that just encompass scope 1. So that was kind of what was super unique about this resolution. But I'm just going to talk about kind of like how it was passed, how we built this movement that we've been working so hard on. So initially we had meetings with board members. We kind of came to them with the idea of electrification. So solar panels, electrifying our buses, and electrifying the white fleet, which is all those school safety vehicles and maintenance vehicles. Now they took this and they were like, this is amazing. Let's do so much more. And so from there, we worked to research and develop our very comprehensive resolution, and then also refine it, finally bring it to the board, and then work on communications, media, and some finishing tweaks towards the end there. Also, I want to talk about the why and the how. So the reason why this got passed was kind of like a bunch of different circumstances coming together. So TUSD had just passed their bond in 2023. At the same time, Tucson and Pima County were working on their climate action and adaptation plans, and we were named partners on both of those. OGIS also had gone to the CCL conference, the National CCL conference, and talked to some people there. And then we both talked to Rewiring America and the New Buildings Institute about similar initiatives across the United States. We also just saw that TUSD had such big potential. They do not have 98,000 schools. That is a typo. They have 98,000 students. And an estimated 42 million metric tons of CO2 emissions across all schools in the United States. Just for reference, that's like just general across the United States. So like schools themselves have super big potential for things like this. And then, yeah, back into that structure of the resolution, there's also climate adaptation, which is not usually included in resolutions like this. So heat and grid adaptations, as well as water adaptations for the district, as well as incorporating climate education, funding for it. So identifying grants and things like that, the TUSD can use to supplement their existing funds, as well as equity. So implementing this district equitably across implementing the resolution equitably across the district. I'll just talk briefly about the research that we did. So at the beginning, we identified like key research areas. You can see this at the bottom with this little page here. And from those research areas, we kind of narrowed it down to specific topics. And then from there, we did research on specific organizations and past resolutions in similar areas. So we looked at the EPA and the New Buildings Institute to help develop that specific guideline and that specific language. Now I'll just talk briefly again about the outreach that we conducted. So we've outreached to all these different organizations. So everywhere from the World Resources Institute to the White House Office of Climate Policy. We actually got a meeting with all of the organizations on this list. And then also we did a lot of press work. So we were in over 20 news outlets because of this, as well as reaching out to local people as well as organizations. And you'll see on the next page here, we circulated a letter of support that had support from all these different elected officials, as well as organizations. And I think the most important thing was our outreach to students. Those were most of the people that signed our resolution. And you can see this picture. This was from the board meeting during the call of the audience. One of the board members said that it was the most students he's ever seen at a board meeting in his entire time serving on the board, which was super, super exciting. And it was kind of a lever for change and putting more students in places of leadership. I was appointed to the Bond Oversight Committee this year. I was the first TUSD student ever appointed to any committee in history, which was super exciting. And then also we're working on developing. Oh, how many more minutes?
One.
One. Okay, perfect. And then also we're working on developing a student oversight commission throughout this year. We're working with the district to develop that. Also, just a few weeks ago, the district issued and finalized their RFP, which was their request for proposal, which selected someone to begin developing the next step of this resolution, which is to develop a specific plan that will get the district to those goals that we developed. So now I just want to give a big thank you to everyone for listening today. This is my email as well as OGIS's email. You can reach out to either of us, or you can visit our website, azyouthclimate.org, and I'll put this all in the chat. But thank you guys so much. And thanks, Carmen. Thanks, Gabe. for helping me present today.
Thank you, guys. You're amazing. And I do want to say that one of the goals of Third Act, even though we're over 60, is to support the youth movement. So, you know, you can always come to us for support, signatures, whatever you guys need, because what you've done with TUSD is pioneering for the whole country, I think. So now I'm really pleased to introduce Michael Catanzaro. I hope I pronounced that okay. And Michael's the energy manager for the city of Tucson. We're really happy to have someone from the city here. And that includes efforts in solar energy. And he's going to talk for a bit about solar installations across the city of Tucson. Michael.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. It's really great to kind of see all the work that's happening in the community. And my hope is kind of to show you what's happening at the city of Tucson and how we've kind of transformed. So this is a little flyover of an installation at CabSARP, which pumps all our water. And I'll talk a little bit about that later in the presentation. I want to start with an overview of the energy office, just so you have a sense. We have almost 5,000 utility accounts, 3,000 electric accounts, about 300 gas accounts, and over 1,600 water accounts. So in all, we manage a ton of electricity across the entirety of the city and even beyond. We have lots of accounts out in Ever Valley and even other outlying places in the county. I want to talk about our energy profile over the last 6 years. You can see since 2018, we've had a consistent increase in our total solar. The blue is electric purchase from both TEP and Trico, and purple is our solar share. And you can see both our electric consumption and solar PV consumption modestly kind of creeping up over time, but you can see the percentage of solar getting bigger, and I'll go a little bit deeper into that. We also have seen a 26% price increase since 2018 in our grid supplied energy. And so when we install solar, 9 times out of 10, we have flat contracts. We contract to purchase the solar that's generated from them, so it requires no upfront investment from the city. And so we've been able to generate a significant amount of savings. I'm going to dive in a little bit finer point here. You can see the percentage of solar over time more explicitly here. 2018, we had 1% solar. 2023, as the previous presenter mentioned, we passed the climate resolution, the climate action plan, Tucson Resilient Together, which created a goal of installing 30 megawatts of solar across the city of Tucson facilities. And to date, we have 27 megawatts of solar across city facilities. So we're about 90% of our way to achieving our goal there. This is kind of like an in-depth view of the number of solar sites we have now. We have 74 sites. Those are all unique. Everything from rec centers, water stations, water reservoirs. We have another 6 sites in contract. So, and with the 14 proposed sites, we have plans now on the books to hit our goal for Tucson Resilient Together, which is 30 megawatts. I want to talk a little bit about some of the projects uniquely. So this is Randolph Center. This project was completed about 4 years ago, and we saved $50,000 in our first 4 years total. This next one is Police Station and Crime Lab. This is a 1.4 megawatt installation. You can see it's pretty comprehensive here. That has $138,000 of savings in our first 4 years. Thomas Price Center, this is my office. We have 1.5 megawatts, nearly $225,000 in savings over the first 4 years. And over here, I think you can see my mouse, we're about to break ground on another solar project that will cover this lot with solar and provide electric vehicle charging stations as a part of that. And this will become one of our big electric vehicle charging hubs in the future. And by in the future, I mean within the next, I'd say 6 to 9 months. So it's really exciting. Here's our next project is CAVSARC. This is a really exciting project. This is out in Navajo Valley, and I have pictures throughout the construction here, and you can see this was they cleared all the fields. This is where we pump water in, and it trickles down to the water table, and then we pump it out. And so we use a lot of water at this site, and then it pumps it down to Tucson. And you can see over time, this is quite an extraordinary project. This is 8.6 megawatts. And so this will power nearly, I think, 80% of the facility. I'll just play the video here of the flyover. What's really unique about this project is we were able to install this. Our contracted rate for electricity off of this project is 2.5 cents, which is unbelievably low. This one does have a slight increase over time. So by the end of 28 years, we'll be paying 4 cents for this, but it's gradual, and the first 7 years don't have any increases. So really competitive. And as we see the prices for electricity continuing to climb, those savings are just going to get bigger over time. I think I have a chart here of our total savings. Now, these are annual savings. These aren't additive. This is unique savings every year. And so our total savings is well over, I mean, it's approaching $2 million in total savings. I'm still calculating our 2025 solar savings, but really modest the first couple years. And then as we've grown and we've increased our total number of projects within the city, you can see last year we saved nearly $1 million. And my guess is in fiscal year 2025, which just closed, I think we'll exceed that $1 million number, which is really exciting, because the great thing is we get to make a cleaner environment. We get to save the city and taxpayers money and do it cleanly. So it's really exciting to be able to install so much solar and transform the energy profile of the city. And that's it.
Thank you, Michael.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to be living in a city that's making the effort to go solar, and we hope you can do more. Our next speaker is Bob Buttigieg, who I think I've heard talk about solar for as long as I've lived in Tucson. He's a Tucson energy efficiency and solar consultant, and an advocate for a zero carbon pollution economy and lifestyle. And he's going to talk about 4 big things you can do to solve climate change and the 50 small things, but we don't have time for 50, but let's see how many we can get. Over to you, Bob. We can't hear you, you're on mute.
There we go. Conservative. Set up the screen sharing, didn't unmute the mic. So you've heard a lot today about why we should care about climate. What I want to talk about is the very simple and practical ways that you can achieve a negative carbon lifestyle. Let's get to it. And let's remember that every disaster movie begins with somebody ignoring a scientist. Let's see. Okay, so I see that's not going to work. Let's try this over here. There we go. Okay. So just to remind people that climate is very expensive, and the damages that we're facing every year from not solving climate are enormous. And so when we talk about what is our investment to do the things that we knew that we need to do to improve the situation, let's remember that the cost of not doing things is enormous. So this is a short video on just talking about the basic concept of some of the solutions.
We want to avoid catastrophic global warming, we need to reduce emissions. But it can be quite hard to get your head around how to do that. There's this really simple idea.
This stuff has to be kept in the ground. It cannot be dug up because there's only one reason you get it out of the ground, and that is to burn.
Leave it in the ground.
The oil in the soil and the coal in the hole. That's Bill's simple proposition. It's the only way forward.
You actually can't use the majority of the reserves that have been identified by fossil fuel companies.
So this idea of keeping it in the ground comes from Bill McKibben. And there are really three numbers that you need to know.
Three facts.
First is 2 degrees.
2 degrees.
2 degrees.
That is the threshold for dangerous climate change. The second number
565
is 565 gigatons. Now that's the amount of carbon dioxide that we can safely release into the atmosphere and still have a reasonable chance of staying below 2 degrees. That is kind of a carbon budget.
When you start getting beyond that,
things start getting really bad. And the third number, and this is kind of the scary number, is
2795 gigatons.
Now that's the amount of carbon dioxide that would be released if all of the fossil fuel reserves that we know about already were dug up and burned. You will have noticed that 2,795 is a lot bigger than 565.
We have way more fossil fuel in the reserves than we could possibly burn.
if they were to burn those reserves, never mind ones they haven't yet explored, just the ones they've already identified, you would end up emitting so much carbon that you would produce catastrophic climate change.
Astonishing. Companies are still looking for more. And in fact, last year, I think they spent over 700 billion looking for more.
So there's a real tension there.
And while you are trying to persuade people to change their light bulbs and to drive less often or whatever it might be, if this stuff is still being pumped out of the ground, all those rather feeble measures are going to prove to be useless.
Were we to burn
We can't actually burn.
all the fossil fuels which are there, it would lead to inevitable disaster. There's no question of it. It's just
We should be tackling fossil fuel companies directly. Leave it in the ground.
This stuff has to be kept in the ground. It cannot be dug up. It's the only way forward.
Okay, so the basic premise here is we need to electrify everything and power it with solar. And you can see that had we started 30, 40 years ago, it would have been a much easier transition, but we've dawdled so much that we really need to stop installing new fossil fuel equipment today. So my premise is if we simply make all our new purchases electrified and continue the transition to renewable energy, we can achieve the kinds of changes that we need to do. So what does that look like? Yeah, electrify everything, transportation, buildings, industry. We have the technological solutions today to do most of this, so let's get on with it. So the 50 small things is all the different energy efficiency projects. And most discussion talks with, you start with energy efficiency because it has the highest return on investment. That's absolutely true. The issue is that, like when I working on my house, it took me basically 4 years and a whole lot of weekend little projects to cut my energy consumption in half. So should we do it? Yes. But let's not get the small things be in the way of doing the big things. All right, so what are the big things? Heat pump water heating uses 1/3 as much energy as a legacy water heater. So when your water heater needs to be replaced, I would argue that you should replace it with a heat pump water heater, and it provides some small amount of cooling in the room that it's in, but just saves an enormous amount of energy and can be powered from solar. Similarly, heat pump heating and cooling, highly efficient, just fabulous stuff. It tends to lead to greater comfort than things that just sort of blast you with hot or cold air, and can be extremely efficient powered by solar. And my lesser issue is gas stoves. They're not so much of an energy issue as they are an indoor air quality issue. If you can get rid of your gas stove, that will produce a 42% decrease in the risk of asthma for small children. Now, what do you replace it with? Inductive cooktops are fabulous, highly efficient, very fast responding, and you can get a built-in unit like this for starting at about $1,000. But if you want to just give it a try, use one of these countertop models. I do 95% of my cooking on one of these, and they're less than $100. So if you want to try it out and see if inducting cooking is for you, it's very inexpensive to try it out. There also is now heat pump dryers that use 1/3 as much energy. Now, a lot of people talk about how great clotheslines are and drying your clothes with the sun. Well, I'm just too lazy for that, so I use a dryer. But you know, heat pump dryers take a little longer. They do not require an exhaust duct to the outside. They do need a condensate line going to a drain, but fabulous technology using 1/3 as much energy. All right, so transportation. When you purchase your next vehicle, consider purchasing an electric car. I have not bought gasoline for 10 years. So I've taken numerous long trips. You don't need something with super range if you're just using it around town. So if you have multiple cars in your family, consider, I have a client that for $7,000 bought a shorter range electric vehicle they use for running around town. There's just enormous selection of vehicles out today, and they're just fabulous vehicles. So a couple of changes you can make to prepare is to some situations you may need to upgrade your electrical panel. I would argue very few, but a couple of things are get a NEMA 1450 outlet installed where you park your car. I had one 6 months before I actually got my car, but that's basically all you need to charge an electric car very conveniently. You know, it can vary in price from $50 to $500 in parts. Sometimes labor can be expensive, but you know, get it done so that you have the electricity where you park your car. And the second thing is, if you currently have a gas water heater, run a 30 amp circuit to your water heater closet so that when that old gas heater starts leaking, you've already got the electricity that you need at the location.
2 minutes more, Bob.
Thank you. All right, so here's the case history of my house. When I started working on this project, I was using over 45,000 kilowatt hour equivalent for electricity, gas, and gasoline. Over this project, I've now cut that by about 80%, and I'm now completely powered by solar, and my solar makes more energy than my house and my car use, so I'm actually exporting energy to my neighbors. In cost, I was spending over $3,000 a year on energy. I now spend roughly 500, and that's mostly in service charges, mostly off our water bills. I haven't figured out how to be net zero in water yet. So emissions, I've gone from emitting 42,000 pounds a year of carbon to my scope 1 and 2 emissions are now negative. So scope 3 emissions are really hard to calculate, so I don't go there, but I've achieved in just a few projects negative emissions for my lifestyle. So hopefully houses of the future will be powered by solar, or look, hopefully a lot of you already have it. Neighborhoods, let's see solar on every home. Utilities of the future, wind, solar, storage, and hopefully some geothermal. We can get to 100% with those and demand management, stuff like that. garages. I hope we'll see a electric vehicle and probably a home battery. Gives you resiliency and the ability to participate in supporting the grid. Tucson Electric currently has a virtual power plant program that those people who have home batteries can participate in. And it helps to displace the expensive and highly polluting peaker plants that TEP has. So let's remember that a wind energy spill looks like a pleasant breeze, and a solar energy spill is a nice day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. And that's the end of our sort of broader presentations. And I'd like to thank all the presenters for keeping to time or tolerating my interruptions. So thank you to all those amazing speakers. We are recording this and we'll try to figure out a way to make it available because that was so information packed. You might want to share it with your neighbors and your family. So I'm going to take a break and hand over to the fabulous Betsy Wilkening, who helped put all this together. And Betsy, we've got a bunch of the groups who haven't spoken, but we want to give them a chance to introduce themselves. So over to you, Betsy.
Thank you. Good job, all. So first up, we have Sustainable Tucson and Dwayne Edgar.
Good afternoon, y'all. Yeah, Dwayne Edgar. I'm a board member of Sustainable Tucson, and I'm a founding member of our Energy Transformation Working Group. I really want to talk just briefly, understand we're about 2 minutes each. Is that what we're aiming for? Just about 2 programs. And the first one is Sustainable Tucson is a supporting member. The SERI, Sonoran Environmental Research Institute, is the main nonprofit that's guiding this program. It used to be called the Solar Empowerment Program, and sometimes now it's just referred to as solar grants. And I know there's a lot of confusion about what kind of incentives are available for solar these days with the changing federal picture. This is one local program in southern Arizona, in Pima County, that is available, and it's honestly underutilized. It's a not complicated program to have, and it benefits everybody whose household income is 80% or less of the median income in Pima County. So just to have an idea, for a 4-person family, that's $76,900. If you're a 4-person family with an income below that, then you qualify for a 60% of a solar installation on your house to be paid for, and we would only have to pay 40%. For a 2-person home, that income level is $65,550. So there's a lot of people that fall in this category. You may be one, or you may know people who are in that category. And it's an underutilized program, so it doesn't have a long waiting list. And I'm going to show a QR code with a link to that program in a minute. The other program I just wanted to mention, for those of you who may not be familiar, Sustainable Tucson has a home energy coaching program, and it has its own website called goelectricaz.org. I'm also going to put a link to that. This is a program where we have volunteer trained people in some of the measures that Robert was talking about that you might want to do in your home. Get a heat pump to replace an old furnace and or air conditioner. Change out a stove or a water heater or other appliance to something more efficient, and that can be powered by renewable energy. And yeah, with that, if I could just share my screen briefly here, I will put those QR codes up. Share. Am I sharing?
Yes.
Okay. So this is just a quick blurb for the Solar Empowerment Program. 60% off. And though, do you see those? Are those QR codes big enough to be copied?
Yeah, I just did a copy. I could probably add them to the chat.
How do they do a graphic inside of a QR?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Len Nowak with Aptera Solar EV.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. So I started my PV solar journey back in 2005. I had PV solar on my home. I have the picture of it in the background there, and on my two homes here in Arizona. But I got real excited about finishing my driving years here in Arizona with the possibility of using the sun to power a vehicle. Well, there's a company based in California, Carlsbad, California, called Aptera Motors Corp. And they have this vehicle you see rolling up here on the top, B-roll, which is called the Aptera. And it's a three-wheel vehicle, so it's an autocycle. It's super efficient because of the aerodynamics of it. But the big thing is the top skin of that vehicle is all solar. So you can get meaningful free solar range out of that vehicle. The battery can give you up to 400 miles at 100%, but you can get that 40 miles of free range just being under the Arizona sun. So we're very fortunate with our sun output here in the production, but very exciting vehicle. You might wonder, well, how can you get meaningful range like that? Well, the vehicle is designed to be efficient. The aerodynamics with a 0.13 coefficient of drag. The weight of the vehicle is only about 2,200 pounds. That all equates to this amazing range that we hope to see. And I am an ambassador, I am an investor, and I am also a reservation holder, and I hope to have my vehicle next year. So I will share that with you if there's anyone interested. And in the chat, I'll give you a video, which is a current update from Aptera, which you might enjoy at your leisure, because I don't have that much time. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Coming up next is from the U of A Office of Sustainability, and it's Salome Arietta.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yes, my name is Salome. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. I'm a student representative for the Office of Sustainability on the U of A campus. The Office of Sustainability does a lot in both on campus and in the greater community of Tucson. A few programs I can tell you about. We have the Compost Cats, which is a accessible composting program for both students and now the greater Tucson community. Compost Cats has actually partnered with the city of Tucson to set up different composting stations around town. So if you're looking to do composting in your home, it's a great place to start. I'll put a link to our website in the chat. I represent a committee member for the Office of for the Campus Sustainability Fund. We are a student grant funding body where both students and faculty can apply for sustainability grants to make campus a more sustainable place. Right now we have our mini grants open, so students and staff are able to apply for up to $10,000 for their project ideas. And you can also find that on our website. But thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate being here with all these wonderful people and faces. Yeah, you can find information on our website.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have the Greater Tucson Climate Coalition with Bob Cook.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to first thank Third Act and the Arizona Institute for Resilience for doing this. These are important events where we really begin to see the diversity of this renewable energy transition and see the progress that we've been making in the last decade. So thank you very much. I just wanted to start out by underscoring something Bill McKibben said in the beginning. We ordered a solar battery and panel system last October, signed the contract, and that project is still not done. This permitting issue is so important to advance. We do not have the processes to accelerate the green energy transition. So this is something very important that people need to pay attention to. The Greater Tucson Climate Coalition has been around for about 5 or 6 years. We've been supporting the city's climate action plan. We support the implementation of that plan. We've been supporting ACC candidates. And most recently, we have supported the city's energy sourcing study, which is looking at municipalization and community choice energy. We believe that the biggest obstacle to accelerating this green energy transition is political will. That's the thing that's lacking the most in our society, and we hope to accelerate that. Everyone's got a slice of this green energy transition as we see today. What we need to do, and our motto is building a shared community voice for bold climate action. So join us. We're trying to create a coalition of coalitions. We need to have a single voice when it comes to the candidates at the state, local, and national levels. And the urgency couldn't be more intense. We've got 5 years, folks. We don't have 20 years to get this done. So the faster we get this done, the better. And I think joining together and acting more as a coalition, I think will accelerate that process. I'm going to put in the chat our email that you can sign up. We will provide climate action alerts when we're calling people to speak up for climate action policies. So thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Climate Reality Project is next with Vince Pulaski.
Good job, Bob.
Muted. It's very distinct. You're muted, Vince.
Taking off my time. Sorry. Everyone here, I'm sure, knows at least what Climate Reality Project is. If you don't, it was started by Al Gore. Quite a while ago, before there were many, after people asked him if they could present his inconvenient truth presentation. And it's since trained 50,000 people to give presentations and speak confidently on climate change. And right now, like this workshop, it's turned largely virtual for some of the same reasons. So the new an AI assisted virtual training that you can take in any language. It helps you learn the facts about climate change and how to present climate solutions in a way that is truly objective and nonpartisan. And it works on several areas: reducing emissions, financing a just transition, and in renewable energy, of course, which we're focused on here today. We have a couple of smaller organizations that work with us. One is Climate Action Now, which is an app you can run on your phone that will connect you with industry, government, and nonprofit leaders, where you can make requests for them to take action on specific things related to what they do. And our very new, actually started last Monday, affiliation is with an organization called Climate Change Makers. Climate Change Makers is a mostly online group that is working to influence leaders, mostly political leaders, right now, local, regional, state. I'm hoping we can get them to work to get them to support renewable energy, or at least not kill the support for it. So we have a local chapter here in Southern Arizona, and I'm going to post a link to that right now on the chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. And next up is Troy Horton with Scientist Rebellion, Turtle Island.
Hi, thanks for putting this on. Very important what you're all doing. I'm a member of Third Act Arizona and have also been a member of Scientist Rebellion for a number of years. Scientist Rebellion Turtle Island consists of scientists, academics, and people who understand the crisis that we are facing. Our message is that the science is clear. 99% of climate scientists have no doubt that if we do not stop burning fossil fuels as soon as possible, future generations will not have a livable world. Scientists and academics are among the most trusted voices. We want to use their voices to help people understand reality and to help provide support for other groups, such as those that we have here today. Some of the principles are that we support are degrowth, climate justice, redefining the good life as one that satisfies human needs and not corporate greed. We also believe that nonviolent actions are the best hope we have to make the changes that are needed. If we can all work together as a coalition that supports each other, we can do so much more than we can individually. Scientist Rebellion Turtle Island hopes you will consider us as a partner with you to help give voice to your causes and hope you support us in our actions. We are currently focusing on pressuring the Arizona Corporation Commission, as Sandy Barr so well pointed out how important they are. And we're focusing on them to choose solar power instead of methane gas for Arizona's future energy needs. We're fearful that they are leaning toward the methane gas. Our website is srturtleisland.org. Thanks for all that everybody is doing here. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. And Sandy, you got a lead in. So Sandy wanted to mention a few more things from the Sierra Club.
I'll try to be quick. So thank you. And yeah, thank you, Third Act and University of Arizona, and enjoyed being here today. I just quickly wanted to say Sierra Club is an environmental protection organization. We work on a broad range of issues, including clean energy and climate. And we do have monthly virtual meetings. We have a climate and energy action team, and I am going to put the link for participating in the chat. I hope you'll join us. We do talk about ways to be engaged. Right now, well, I think consistently we do a lot of advocacy and trying to hold policymakers accountable, as well as the utilities. We're seeing massive backsliding right now on clean energy goals. The utilities are backing off. They're buying into the Trump pro-coal agenda. And so now we've got coal plants that are going to run longer. They're doubling down on gas. And we need, as others have said, everybody working together to, push back and hold them accountable. Calling out the commission when they are making decisions that are rubber stamping what the utilities want, instead of doing their job, which is to actually regulate. So I'll stop there because I had time earlier, and just appreciate y'all being online. I actually would have loved to have been in person because it would have given us time to interact, more individually, but I do understand the situation, and I'm just going to put our website real quick, and I'm always available to chat and support. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. And we have next up with Earth Gives, Rhonda Bannard, and we will, I see a hand up. We can get to your hand after our last presenter.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rhonda Bannard. I founded Earth Gives. It's a nationwide nonprofit based right here in Phoenix, Arizona. And it's perfect that I come right after Sandy Barr because she was asked to come to my women's group years ago. And instead, because I know Sandy is always busy doing her environmental work, she sent a young youth climate activist, Brian Messinas at the time, who's a freshman at ASU. I'm a proud Wildcat, though. And he really inspired me to get to learn more about the issues of climate. And so I spent a lot of time with him and did a march on the Capitol. And when I came back from that, having helped found Arizona Gives Day, I thought, what about a giving day for the environment? And when I did the research to see how much funding actually goes to climate environmental organizations, it was only 2%. And I thought, that's not enough to speed and scale. And as you can tell by today's presentation, it is truly nonprofits that are at the front end now that government has backed off. And so Earth Gives is running right now, 2025, and several folks that you heard from already are participating. The Arizona Youth Climate Coalition, Climate Cabinet Education are organizations that you can invest in. And I'm putting a couple links in the chat. You can literally go to AZYCC on the website now and set up a fundraiser or a little free fundraiser. Just click on the green button under them and promote their work. In fact, if you give to them tomorrow just $10, it will help them vie for a special Eco Power Boost funded by our great local bookstore here in the Phoenix area, Changing Hands Bookstore. So you can help them potentially win for renewable energy funding, extra funding tomorrow. You can also click on the upcoming events. We have one on Wednesday about plastics and toxins. And then we have one next Tuesday on food and health. So I love what the Compost Cats are doing. I've been trying to work on getting legislation about composting because it reduces methane and pollution here in Arizona, and we desperately need to do that. I'm a proud member of the working group for Third Act and excited to be here and excited to see all of you, and shout outs to Betsy and Diana for doing such incredible work. Hopefully you can join us and make a donation between now and October 7th, because it will help give us credibility to continue to build the work to invest in and engage with environmental nonprofits. There are several Arizona nonprofits like Center for Biological Diversity, Sky Island Alliance, and many others that you will find at earthgives.org. So thanks for all the work that you do, and this collaborative way of doing it is very welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Rhonda. And we have one more person that wanted to share their organization, and that's Barbara Warren with Physicians for Social Responsibility.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
We sure can.
Okay, good. I can't tell from here. I work with Physicians for Social Responsibility. I'm the director for this Arizona chapter. It's a national organization that addresses the greatest threats to our survival on this planet. One of those, we believe, is climate change, and the other is nuclear weapons. And I wanted to talk about both of those in terms of what we need to think about in terms of the wonderful work that's being done locally today that everybody's described. But there are a lot of people in this community who do not have the resources to do what we want everybody to do. And one of the things that we have been working on is, and working in, by the way, collaboratively with the Sierra Club and PERG and a lot of other groups, and that's been really wonderful to work together so we don't have boundaries in the work we do. One of those is that heat is a problem still, and we've talked about that problem a lot. And a lot of people don't have the resources to deal with it. I have a wonderful home that's deals with all the things that's been suggested today, but a lot of people can't afford that. And we have a program called Building Resilient Neighborhoods that we've offered to neighborhoods to talk about extreme heat and how to deal with the consequences and how to prevent serious illnesses or disasters from extreme heat exposure. And that's something that's you've all described is coming, is here. And if there's power outage, then we have bigger problems. We've advocated for outdoor workers' heat protection, and the city's done a great job with making that sure that that's there. We offered a whole lot of different neighborhood workshops. They're free. We have resources for everyone on what needs to be done in terms of dealing with extreme heat and protecting your health. On a national scale, we also work with nuclear weapons as a hazard. And I just want to say that some of the things that might have come up in terms of alternative energy is nuclear powered. And that's something that's dangerous. And because of the nuclear testing that has been done in our state or in Nevada, and then fallout coming into our state and a lot of places, there's been exposure. There's still a lot of exposure on the Navajo Nation, other tribal communities to radioisotopes from the testing that's been done in any kind of nuclear works. That's something that we need to educate people about, do what we can to help these communities to protect their health. And that's being done not only in this state and community, but all across the country. Wherever there's nuclear weapons testing, that exposure still goes on to a lot of people, a lot of nuclear powered illness, if you will. So that's our work. And if anybody would like to work with us on the workshops or help us to think about ways, one of our members is working on the homing project, which will take people who live outdoors and don't have any way to control the atmosphere that they're living in. So the homing project will provide housing for people who can't afford it.
Thanks, Barbara. If you could put your information in the chat, we'll share that with everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And want to wrap it up and bring back the people that started us out today with Chris Wass and with Liz Peterson. If you want to give a quick little goodbye, I'm putting information in the chat about joining Third Act Arizona. And do we have Liz?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Yeah, thank you all again so much for being here. What an amazing amount of information shared today. And we wish we could have given you all more time, those of you who presented. So thanks just so much. And we are recording and we will be in touch with where to access this recording so you can follow up and listen to it again and learn even more the second time around. So we so appreciate the opportunity to partner with Third Act. And again, want to thank Chris Wass and Diana Liverman and Betsy Wilkening and Bill McGibbon for a wonderful, intro earlier today. And I feel, things have been hard and I feel positive right now. And I'm going to, it's a great way to wrap up the weekend. And I just think there were a lot of really positive things said today. And that feels good. And I feel like there's a big community out there that wants to work together. And so certainly the Arizona Institute for Resilience and the University of Arizona is here with you. So thanks everyone. I appreciate the opportunity. And we hope to do similar types of events with Third Act in the future as well, because they're a fantastic partner. So our support to them. Thank you.
Thanks. Chris, are you still out there? Do we have Chris?
You're muted, Chris.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I am just on behalf of the Third Act Coordinating Council, I want to thank everybody for participating today. I'm personally just completely blown away. For me, the antidote for fear is action. And I've personally been presented all kinds of opportunities to take action and make a difference in climate change. If you're interested in joining Third Act, go to thirdact.org, or you can email us at arizona@thirdact.org. And thanks again for everybody for being here. Spectacular afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we hope to see you again in the future.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Betsy. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want me to stop the recording?